Coming up on Tarvalin After Dark.
I'm Names, I'm dumb.
I will be motorboating Jess non-stop.
Millie Bobby Brown is in a retirement home.
It was a horny hug.
The light illumine you, and welcome to Tarvalin After Dark. My name is Jess, the Emerald Seat, and I'm here at the Thirsty Tinker, Tarvalin's most disreputable inn, located in scenic North Harbor. Hail and well met, beloved listeners. We've been a fucking mess over here. I've been a fucking mess over here. But I have an appointment with my psychiatrist tomorrow. That will help, probably. Probably, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Sorry, I haven't been introduced yet, so I can't talk.
Yeah, shut up. The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime got canceled, and we're not thrilled.
Speak for yourself.
Well, Nabes is thrilled.
We haven't been introduced as Nate.
Shh, you can't.
Joy.
You have no voice. Your voice doesn't exist yet.
I'm cutting you out of this entire episode. Whenever you talk, it's just going to be empty air. And I'm going to put in, like, I'm Nabes, I'm dumb. But first, let me introduce my partners in debauchery, Nameless Kevin and Jenny Sedai.
My voice has returned. Oh my gosh.
That was a really long intro. So yes, the show is canceled. We're going to talk about that today.
Yeah.
Well, not our show.
No, not our show.
Yeah.
You might think it has been, but it hasn't.
We'll talk about that. We're going to get back to our normal formatting too, so there'll be some fun shit to talk about. But we had a lot of preamble before this, so I think I don't know how Jess is going to cut this, but we just had like 35 minutes of us fucking around before we started the show.
Yeah.
So
we listened to Cardi B, and then we listened to Richard Cheese covering Cardi B. There was a lot. We watched some SNL.
Yeah, we did quite a bit. But I think all of that is to say, I think the most important thing coming up from an announcements perspective before we hop into the show, here in a little less, or a little more, I should say, than 1 month, WatCon is happening.
Yay!
And if you can't come in person, the one thing that WatCon does very, very well, it's the only thing we do well, is we have a virtual option. So you can purchase a virtual ticket and basically be a part of the entire festivities, see every panel, every live show. You'll have that in perpetuity, so you can always go back and watch. Where you get to walk around and be live in the areas, see interviews. In fact, special interviews that not everybody else gets to see is on that ticket. So you can check out all of those ticketing options at watcon.com. Yes. So yes, be there.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. We need Ed McMahon in the soundboard.
We will also. Yeah.
You are correct, sir.
That's a good one. Why do I not have that?
I don't know. Maybe because of the four of us, three of us know who Ed McMahon is.
That's true. Yeah, Kevin looks.
Yeah, and remember what he did on Johnny Carson.
Here's Johnny. I mean, we act like we were like alive for most of Ed McMahon's career, but we were not.
Well, we were alive enough that it was part of the cultural zeitgeist that we know.
That's
you
true.
are correct, sir. We know what that is.
The other thing, and this is a tease because everybody gets to hear this before it's announced, we're going to be doing a fundraiser for both Books for Prisoners and for our accessibility programs at WatCon, because one of the things that WatCon prides itself on is our ability to provide accessibility accommodations for basically everybody that's able to be there. And there is an added expense for a very small con that probably cons similar to ours would not be able to do, but we wanted to be able to do that. And so if you'd like to support those accessibility, what's the word I'm looking for? Things. That's not the word, but we're going to use that. Initiatives. There it is. And you'd like to support Books for Prisoners, which is the charity that provides, shockingly, books for prisoners.
I thought it provided Fabergé eggs for horses.
Yeah, no. Books for Prisoners. It's crazy.
Hey, horses deserve Fabergé eggs too.
Michael Kramer and Kate Redding are staunch supporters of said charity. And
it's an excellent charity.
It is an excellent charity. So, but we will be announcing a short fundraiser that will be online. You'll be able to purchase competing T-shirts. So
we got the go ahead on that?
We did.
Yes.
So there will be competing merch between MC Manfear and DJ Nibbles. There's a rivalry here. And there will be some T-shirts that you will see go live that you can purchase with the proceeds moving towards those things. And we will have a mini competition of sorts to see who can raise the most money.
And this is exclusive. The only way you can get these shirts is by supporting the fundraiser.
Correct.
So
you will not be
this isn't
able
going to be in the WatCon store.
Nope. So if you would like to have that and wear that around, they will be, once that fundraiser is over, those shirts will be delivered at WatCon, or if you're unable to make it, you can have them delivered to your house. But so you will be able to wear it around at WatCon and show your support for DJ Nibbles, of course. So,
and obviously, DJ Nibbles, I'm going to have his cartoon likeness right on my tits.
Yep. It'll be motorboating. Absolutely. I will be motorboating Jess non-stop for the entire convention.
The entire convention. I'm not wearing anything else. Over my cosplay, yes.
Just deep in the hills of Tanchico?
The hills
of Tanchico. Just motorboating that shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man, good times.
And
there will be details going up on WatCon socials.
Deets
in short order as well. So
the site has to be ready before that happens. So
yes, but for some value of short order.
I just decided to share that now. So if you are excited about that, you can do so. Let's start the fucking show.
Let's start the fucking show.
Let's do that with yes, let's do that with the news. Cue the news. Okay. There's actually quite a bit of news. So we're going to postpone the leading news. Obviously, Wheel of Time was canceled. We're going to discuss that a little later. But there is some interesting other news in the fantasy world to talk about. So a game that, Recapacity Brian loves to play, a game I love to play, Elden Ring, is having a live-action movie created and written. It is written and directed by Alex Garland. And George R. R. Martin is going to be producing this because he has nothing else to be doing. And it's actually, so here's what actually has me excited about this. It's not, the studio behind it is A24, who does not make bad movies.
Okay, I was going to say that makes me very intrigued.
Yeah.
That's a wrinkle, yeah.
Yeah, and the Elden Ring franchise, so if you're not aware, the Elden Ring game franchise, the history and lore of it was written by George R. R. Martin. They paid him to create the world for it.
Really? I didn't.
Yep.
I don't think I knew that.
And it is very intricate and detailed and weird in a very interesting way. So, yes, that is coming. So that's been announced. Additionally, on the Elden Ring front, there is a new game called Elden Ring Night Rain that comes out, I think, last week. That is a kind of like a PvP addition to the main game. So if you are a big video game person, Elden Ring was a very, very good, very difficult game. They've added like another expansion to it, which is cool.
They just made it even worse by
Yes.
adding PvP.
Yeah. Well, they had it
For
before.
those of you who aren't gamers, PvP is player versus player, which kind of is the worst.
Oh, wait,
Because
that's what that means?
I don't know what everybody else's experience is, but man, everybody's always better than me, and I die a lot.
It must be the lag.
On the topic of, it's probably the lag. On the topic of Elden Ring, I Googled it, and people also ask, what the heck is Elden Ring? Is Elden Ring the hardest game? How long is Elden Ring 100%? And what's the point of Elden Ring?
I could explain some of those things, but
Gets a little philosophical there. What's the point?
It is a philosophical game at its core, actually, because you make a meaningful choice to the future of the world based on your decisions. So I don't want to give away too much of the lore, so I will leave it at that. But there are
consequences.
It is a very difficult game. We'll put it that way.
And now you can play it penis versus penis mode.
Penis versus penis. Is there like easy mode or story mode?
Oh, definitely not.
Magic player. If you play magic and you just cheese every boss, that's the easy mode.
Yes, that is probably the easy mode. You will die a lot in this game until you learn how to do it. But it's kind of part of the game. So
it's part of the overall experience is just death.
It's more a puzzle game in that way because it's like the repeated deaths are like you're solving the puzzle. There's like an algorithm to the fight that you have to kind of figure out almost.
Yep.
So.
And that actually, I have gotten really hot and heavy into Baldur's Gate 3, which Jenny is aware of, and
finally met my wife.
Finally met your wife, who I love, by the way.
Yes.
Team Karlak.
I never play with Karlak.
My first, I am exclusively.
I'm not listening to you, Jess, anymore right now because Dave's and I are in a fight. What the fuck?
I usually kill Karlak.
Okay,
She's never speaking to you again.
Never.
My first playthrough where I made any kind of progress, I was basically speedrunning. I didn't do. Oh no! Nils said you don't want to know what I did to Karlak, and now she's flipping him off too. My first real sort of playthrough, I didn't get all the way to the end, but I didn't really do a lot of side quests. I was basically just speed running, being able to fuck specific characters. I just started another playthrough where I'm actually doing all the side quests and stuff like that, and it's really weird. Fights are getting easier now that I am the appropriate level when I get to them. That is
weird how that happens, eh?
That's insane. Like the Minotaurs in the Underdark?
Yeah.
That wasn't shit.
Do that level 3 or whatever.
I did level 3 the first time, and it
oh my god,
didn't go great. It didn't go great.
No,
I did finally get them, but the reason I bring that up is the whole sort of the number of full party wipes that I had to go through to finally figure out the best way to defeat the thing. Enjoy playing with Halsin, the druid. Big into the thorn thing that I was making thorn growing motions, but my hands were not quite angled correctly, so it looked like I was hugging boobies.
Yes.
Yes.
But slowing movement speed and doing damage. Love that crowd control shit. But now I'm playing a paladin, and I didn't realize that paladins don't they have spells, but they aren't distance spells. That is absolutely 100% a melee class, and I did not know that. I usually play casters, so this has been a really interesting experience playing a melee class because I don't usually do that. Anyway, Elden Ring.
Yes, Elden Ring. Well, we're done with Elden Ring.
We're obviously talking about.
We are done with Elden Ring now. We are moving on to the next major Avengers movies for Marvel have been postponed. So they are adapting. If you are not caught up on Marvel stuff, They are adapting a series from the comics called Secret Wars is the next thing, where it's a lot of like multiverse crossovers and characters fighting each other. And it is actually a very cool comic book series. And they're starting with there are 2 movies. The first movie is called Avengers Doomsday with Doctor Doom, and it'll be his introduction, which is a very cool introduction into the... and Robert Downey Jr. is playing Doctor Doom in a twist.
I heard about that he was coming back. I thought that was kind of fun.
So they have not explained how he will have been Iron Man and now Doctor Doom, but they're going to. Which I think a lot of that is going to be explained
they're going to
somewhat.
Explain. It's not just like an actor
not
and
just
makeup,
like, let's...
Yeah, no, it's
Bob back in.
It's the same.
Okay.
The Fantastic Four movie comes out literally the day WatCon starts, and Galactus is in that, which is also very cool. But I think they'll explain a little bit about Doctor Doom in that, and then Secret Wars is the second of the movies. Well, they have postponed those like 6 months each, so not sure why they did it, but Avengers Doomsday will come out in December of 2026, and it was scheduled for May of 2026, so... You'll have to wait longer, Kevin. I can tell you're antsy.
I'm antsy about those Fantastic Fours because, man, as a kid, I liked them, but man, they are some bad movies. They never make a good Fantastic Four movie, even though I watched them all because I was a kid, so whatever. But,
I think these ones will be better. I think
I'm holding out hope because it's always an interesting dynamic. I like a core team. Those are good movie concepts.
So another delay, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which is based on the Tales of Dunk and Egg in Game of Thrones universe, right, has been delayed until 2026. That was set to release this year on HBO. They are going to milk that franchise for everything it's worth.
And it's sort of like they will jerk off George R. Martin for everything that they can get out of his brain and everything they can get out of everything that has ever gotten out of his brain. But we can't get to season 4.
Sorry, Nils. Yeah, you need a bucket in him out for that. Yeah.
It's tough because even these are actual novellas, like the Fire and Blood, like the House of Dragon stuff. That was based on kind of an encyclopedia of sorts, like a history book style book. These are actual novellas, and they're fun novellas. As much as I have major Game of Thrones burnout since the series ended. I just have very little I want to do with the series as much. But those are very fun novellas. They're good, and it probably would have been the smarter actual next, if spin-off before House of Dragon, just in terms of having plot and stuff already set out for them. So
George R. Martin hates House of the Dragon. He is involved in this, so he does. He hates House of the Dragon.
Was that where that landed? Because I knew that there was some bad blood. No pun intended.
He despises it. He is not involved in it. He does not condone it.
It got some mixed. I saw some mixed reactions to it. I have no opinion on it because I haven't seen it, but
he is very involved in this. So
gotcha.
I think probably for the same reasons, because Rings of Power, for those that aren't aware, is also an adaptation of essentially the appendices. It's not
they're tough things to adapt.
It's not even the Silmarillion that they're adapting. It's literally
they don't have the rights to it. Yeah,
they don't have the rights to that. So it is basically fan fiction. They are taking events that happened in an encyclopedia and they're turning them into a story. So
nerds.
Okay, the last major piece of news, and this just happened very recently. So we've all been, at least I have been awaiting, even though it's been 37 years. Stranger Things, the final season comes out this year.
Stranger Things has been on forever.
I mean, it really truly has. The kids are very old now.
The kids
Millie Bobby Brown is in a retirement home.
And they're all adults.
They are. They're all 22 years old now. Yeah. And I think it started, when year did that come out? It came out in...
I think that I'm going to make
2016.
2016? God.
The first season
Millie
came out in
Bobby
2016.
Brown is in a retirement home. I'm going to have to make the font way smaller to fix that on the cover art, but...
There we go.
I think that could be our title.
The release schedule for Stranger Things 5 is this year. So they're going to release it in 3 volumes this year.
Oh.
So they are well, it's not 3 seasons. They're just breaking the season into 3 drops, basically. So the first drop is going to be 4 episodes. It'll be volume 1 on November 26th, so right around Thanksgiving. By the way, I think they're doing this intelligently when people will be around to watch it. So I bet you Wheel of Time could take notes.
I'm holding out hope to.
Well, no, they won't take notes. But volume 2 will be released on Christmas Day, and that will be another 3 episodes.
Okay, so then what's the next holiday? I'm trying to figure it
New
out.
Year's Eve.
Easter.
New Year's Eve. So
Easter.
volume 3 will drop on New Year's Eve, and I think that's the final
4th of July.
3 episodes or something. So that
Don't
will
talk to your family. Watch Stranger Things. That's pretty much Netflix's.
I mean, I bet a lot of people would watch that as a family.
I bet you I bet you we will. So
Yeah.
my parents love it. Again, it's 80s nostalgia for those that grew up in the 80s. Like, I'm a huge fan of that. So, okay, so that is the major fantasy news. But you know what? Before we're done, we need to go to our correspondent back in the 1920s to learn about this week in
see?
nerd history.
Yes.
See?
It's been
see?
a very, very long time since I've done this voice. So once again, I'm going away. I'm not going to look at you guys.
It's effective because these fuckers,
Oh yeah.
and we're praising the Avatar's hand went up or praising God.
Praise God.
Sorry. That was me
Praise the
taking off
Lord.
my headphones so that I don't hear you guys either. So yeah, I'll do that. Headphones off.
Headphones off.
Okay, fuck. I can still hear you guys with your headphones far away. Laura! Hold on to your spats and polish your monocles, you hep cats and shebas. It's time for another whirlwind edition of Nerd History, where we dig up the zaniest, brainiest, and most bee's knees moments from this week in history. Bang! Or should I say, a bite. On May 26, 1897, Bram Stoker's Dracula first plugged its fangs into bookshelves, giving us all permission to blame vampires for our late-night reading habits. And hold on to your garlic necklaces, because just 2 days later, in 585 BC, a solar eclipse predicted by Greek philosopher Thales darkened the skies, proving ancient nerds had better weather apps than we do today. Speaking of things that go bump in the night, May 27th is a star-studded birthday bash for horror royalty. Vincent Price and Christopher Lee, the original Scream Kings, were born this week, ready to haunt our dreams with their silky voiced terror. And in 1933, Walt Disney dropped Three Little Pigs with its earworm anthem, Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf? A question werewolves still ask at karaoke night. Now, let's switch gears to science that'll make your head spin. On May 28, 1892, John Muir founded the Sierra Club, because even tree huggers need a clubhouse. Meanwhile, in 1937, the Golden Gate Bridge opened to pedestrians first, giving San Francisco's a traffic-free day to wobble across like drunken tightrope walkers. On May 30th, 1911, the Indianapolis 500 revved its engines for the first time, proving gasoline and poor life choices go together like peanut butter and jet fuel. Hold on to your astronaut ice cream, Space Cadet. May 29th, 1953 saw Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay plant their flags on Mount Everest. While 16 years later, on May 31st, 1977, the Trans-Alaska Pipeline finished construction, because nothing says America like 800 miles of don't spill the oil. But not all news is sunshine and lollipops, kids. May 30th, 1431 marks the day Joan of Arc was burned at the stake, making her the original Girl on Fire. On May 31st, 1977, the Sex Pistols got banned by the BBC for God Save the Queen, proving Punk rock was too spicy for Auntie Beeb. Well, that's the skinny for this week, you cool cats. Tune in next time when we'll dust off the history books again to uncover more forgotten follies and nerdy nuggets. Until then, keep your jetpacks polished, your phasers set to stun, and remember, the past is just the present with better hats.
Oh my God.
That was
So first of all,
unplugged my headphones.
First of all, Girl on Fire. That was great.
that was
Second of all,
hilarious.
1953 to 1977 is 24 years.
Oh, shit. I don't math. I'm gay.
She's gay. She can't do math.
Oh, I had a note too. Nerd nuggets are what I'm going to call boogers from now on.
Okay.
That
you
is
for your-
absolutely perfect. That's perfect.
Sure.
Oh, and I wrote down this one as well. More like Bram Stoker's Dracula as well. I don't know if that's.
For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right,
Stand up, Kevin.
Jess, let's do a word from our sponsor and get into this shit.
And now, a word from our sponsor. Are you looking for a new exciting career? Stuck in a dead-end job that just doesn't give you meaning? We've all been there. Some jobs just suck the life out of you, literally. If that's you, look no further. The Two Rivers, a sleepy, chill-ass town at the end of the world where nothing ever happens, is looking for a new wisdom to tend to the villagers. The wisdom can expect to spend their time glaring at outsiders, growing herbs, and drinking ridiculous amounts of apple brandy. And trust us when we say literally nothing ever happens here. We certainly aren't looking for a third wisdom in 2 years. That would be fucking crazy. It's not like one of them got dragged off by a Trolloc in the night and the other was shot with 40 fucking arrows by a Trolloc arrow machine gun. That would be crazy. If you're interested in a career change and want to live in a place where literally nothing ever happens ever, and you're gullible as fuck, apply to become the Emmonsfield Wisdom on DangerousJobs.com or wherever you see jobs posted.
Ah!
Hardy, har.
All right. It's time for our. Are we done? Are we?
Now we're done.
I'm done.
Probably.
Oh, man.
All right. It's time for our main topic, the most exciting topic, the most fun that we'll have. Wheel of Time has been canceled. So
I'm so mad.
yeah. So let's first lay the scene, and then we'll get into some discussion about potential futures. Because as of right now, Amazon has canceled Wheel of Time. But I think to give better context for those that may not be aware, so let's talk about the rights for the show. And then we'll talk about potential futures, and then we can talk about our feelings about it. So, first of all, Amazon does not totally actually own the rights to Wheel of Time. Amazon was the production company, or the distributor, I should say, for the show. Sony actually owns a lot of the rights. So, Sony Pictures Television. Now, Sony is actually not blameless in this. In fact, Sony takes a large part of the blame here because they want a lot of money. So there's a guarantee. Yeah, I know, shocking. Amazon has to pay, or would have had to have paid, a lot of money to Sony to keep making the show. And Amazon is essentially making a decision here. So I want to be clear: the show was not unpopular. Okay, and in a different world, where Rings of Power did not exist, they very likely would have kept the show going. However, they are financially and contractually committed to Rings of Power, where they are not to Wheel of Time. They spent $250 million to acquire the rights, and as part of that deal with Rings of Power, they committed to a 5-season run. And so basically they have two properties that sit in the same genre, one of which they are more financially committed to. And so they have made the choice that Wheel of Time's ratings did not justify keeping both. And that's essentially their decision. So,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
that was a stupid decision to make in the first place.
So let's
Like,
talk
why
about,
the? I didn't know that. I didn't like know that that's how the whole thing was working. Why the fuck did they do that?
Well, so
Let's spend a shitload of money on this fantasy, and then also spend a shitload of money on this fantasy franchise that may or may not pay.
Let's talk about that.
Jess is the sit-in for the audience. She's speaking through the audience.
So let's talk about that. So Wheel of Time was actually secured. Okay, Sony signed the deal for Wheel of Time back in 2016 or 20. It was around 2017, 2016 time. They reached out and they shopped a number of different companies to actually produce the show. Ironically, the two finalists were Apple TV, who we will come back to, and Amazon. Mm-hmm. And the reason they chose them, Netflix wanted it, they all wanted it. The reason they chose Amazon at the time was Amazon was coming out of that period where it was like a new...
right.
And they were spending a lot of money on shows and giving them long run times. A good example of that is Man in the High Castle, which ran for a number of seasons, was very expensive. It's a very good show. So they chose Amazon because they were more of a sure bet and kind of fit the line. Now, at that same time, though, Amazon and Jeff Bezos had wanted the rights to Lord of the Rings for a long time, but did not think they would get them. Basically, around the exact same time, after they signed the Wheel of Time deal, Rings of Power basically fell in their lap. And they decided they could not afford to not pay for it because they thought somebody else would. So they bought Rings of Power at that same time, and they actually reallocated budget that they were going to give to Wheel of Time to Rings of Power.
Rings of Power.
Okay. Where that has most been seen, although Wheel of Time was an extraordinarily expensive show. I mean, we're talking $160 million a season, which is expensive. The real area where the budget allocations are seen is actually... Yes, there was some pulled away from the production, but it's more on the marketing side.
Yeah,
because
it's very clear. Yeah,
they spend more on marketing than they do to make the shows, right? So even on movies, like a movie budget, if they spend $200 million to make a movie, they spend another $200 million to market it. Okay, yeah. And the same thing applies a lot of times for a lot of these shows. So, right, to give this, they basically decided, okay, we've got these two properties now. It did end up hurting Wheel of Time because they had Rings of Power. Not a good situation, but it led to where we are today. Now, that leads to the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'll shut up and we can talk. But the light at the end of the tunnel here is that Apple was the finalist, right? And part of the strategy for Wheel of Time was that if Amazon chose not to pick it up, and I was actually sort of hoping Amazon didn't, and I know this sounds shitty, but Amazon took away $60 million of budget in the middle of last season. So they actually recorded a lot more. I found this out. They recorded a lot more and cut it from what they were going to create, which explains a lot of the fucked up shit that happened in the season.
Yeah. I am more angry now than I was before we started this conversation. Because how much fucking sense does it make to pay for something and then be like, you know what we're gonna do is take away marketing. Let's not spend money on marketing the thing that we bought that would make us money, that would make us the money back.
Well,
I would like to find the people who made that fucking decision and slap them.
So they're making the guess of, are these marketing dollars going to give us a return based on how much we'd spend, or is it wasted money?
Well, they're definitely not going to make it back if you take them the fuck away.
Well, it's sunk cost fallacy, right?
I am going sunk this cost.
Now, it does leave open the door, though, and this is why I will point out, Rafe has still said nothing publicly about this.
That Rafe and Rosamund not speaking gives me hope.
Yep.
And so I guarantee you right now they are still working this out. Now, this is not a false. I don't want to create false hope. The odds of this happening are still low because there's a lot of financial barriers and hoops to jump through. But Sony is probably Apple would definitely be interested in the show. They do not have a fantasy property.
I was about to say Apple's the best one because all the other ones that I can think of, that would be like HBO, Netflix, whatever, they all have a fantasy show.
Yep.
And Apple does not.
Apple does not. And it was something they originally wanted, and they will spend the money. The question is going to be, what will Sony allow to happen, and what will the rights be? The other big hurdle is the cast. The contracts are up for the cast, and so like unless this happens like very, very quickly, the odds are they be in a situation where they have to recast everybody because the actors and actresses have to move on at some point.
Yeah. Well, they have to work. What I'm really hoping is that everybody is just kind of in a holding pattern for a little bit until like there's definitively this isn't gonna happen. Like I'm really
as much as you can
hoping.
be, yeah.
Well, in as much as it's possible to do that, because obviously these are working actors and they need to be working, but like Sony would be fucking stupid to not give this to somebody, because you can either make money, whether it's as much money as you want or not, or you can make no money. You can make some money or you can make no money. And how much fucking sense does it make to make no money when you have the option to make some amount of money, even if it's not the extraordinarily ridiculous amount of money that you want in the first place? Like literally, I want to strangle people. I'm homicidal right now because none of this makes sense.
Let me take some emotion out of it, because the reason that they wouldn't do that would be that Sony actually has to pay for production as well. So, right, if it does not return the amount of money that they have to, if this show was $30 million to make, this would never have been an issue. Okay.
Yeah.
But the show costs $160 million, of which Sony has to share a lot in those costs. So if they
are not, they made us a promise.
They did not.
They didn't make us.
They did not. But so that I think let's start with, obviously, I don't think anybody's thrilled that Wheel of Time got canceled.
I'm ecstatic.
You sound like it. You really sound like you're really happy about it.
Is it the anger? Is it the anger that's giving that away?
So I guess, I mean, I obviously asking your opinions on how happy are you that it was canceled is probably a moot point. But let's hear some thoughts initially, because then we can talk about some other things that could happen here. But I want to open the floor a bit.
Well, I don't know. I've been really. I went back to Twitter for this. I hate that website. It's a hellscape. Somebody posted some weird AI save what meme from a site from an account that I don't think knows anything about Wheel of Time, but just saw that it was trending and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna make a meme that has Pepe the Frog in it." But whatever. But I've been real active trying to promote.
Well, you posted that in the GIF in the group chat.
Yeah,
and I was not completely awake when I looked at it, and it felt like a fever dream. It was weird.
It's really weird. And here, you know what? I'm going to put it in our group chat so you can share this if you would like. We can describe it for our listeners, because it's the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen in a while. But anyway, I've been real active there trying to get people paying attention to it, because I don't think it's very likely, but I also think that it's not impossible. It's happened before. People have saved shows, and I think that Apple would be a great home. I mean, anywhere that they go will follow. Like I don't care, but I don't know. I'm holding out hope until somebody tells me. Like, I will beat this dead horse until it is fully and completely dead. So.
Well, I agree that Apple would be a great home for it, because, like, the show is good.
Yeah.
It's really good, and it deserves to be someplace that's going to actually give it the treatment that it deserves. Like, it deserves to have the money put into it, and it deserves to have the marketing. Like, they have been fucking sandbagging this shit from day one. And like, I've been the first person to be defending the weird marketing that they did for this, because some of it was, they're not going to market the fucking show 6 months before it comes out. Everybody needs to calm down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But ultimately, they did a fucking bad job.
Well, there's certain things that were very weird. Like this season, for example, I could see it. Like, I mean, maybe I'm reading into people's intentions, but like Rosamund Pike was doing interviews on tiny YouTube channels. She was trying. They didn't get her on Kimmel. They didn't get her on Colbert. Like that, they didn't do any of that. Where she like was like traveling to the States and being like, I'm going to be on a 7 a.m. breakfast talk show that like because I'm just trying my best to get the show promoted. They didn't support that at all. So
does that mean that we could have gotten her on TBAD, because that would have been cool?
Probably not, but yeah. So I think you guys are all hitting the nail on the head a little bit. I mean, obviously the marketing has been really since the first season, right? And in the initial run up, it has not been good.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to share this post. It's from an account called QAnon, Tinfoil Hat Frog. It says, GM Sadai, the wheel weaves as the wheel wills. This is the platform. Where are the notes Mr. Jordan left? All the world is a stage.
Hashtag save what?
With
Hashtag
Bitcoin at the end.
Yeah, yes. And there's a picture of Pepe the Frog holding what I guess is a Bitcoin with the Q from QAnon. And then there's an image. It says there's one beginning, but there's no end, of a person walking through a tunnel towards the Bitcoin symbol.
But it's a weird tunnel made of light.
Yeah.
And a road.
It's really, really, really
fucking
weird.
AI, man.
It's AI, but like, the only thing I can think again is that the Wheel of Time and Save What must be trending, and so this person is trying.
This is a good sign, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good sign, but it's also weird as fuck. So,
yes, it's not a good. It's a bad good sign because it means that we're getting enough traction that bots are picking up on it and trying to leverage the traffic towards their own gains. So that means it's at least hitting semi-mainstream traffic.
It's hitting a lot of mainstream. Like I said, I've been real involved in I've been boosting every single article, which is why Twitter became a hellscape, because I was posting all the articles, and Rings of Power fans got real mad at me for posting an article from the Telegram, which is a major newspaper. It's a major newspaper covering how this show was better than Rings of Power, and they were all like, "Why would you post that? Your show is safe for 5 fucking seasons. Back off!" Like.
I was gonna say that was I will take this opening to say I like both shows, and I think that a lot of people do like both shows, and I do think that Amazon hurt both shows by signing both shows. I think that that is true. Like I think Rings of Power, there's a lot to like in there. I think that it was probably similarly hurt in a lot of the same ways that Wheel of Time was in terms of the meddling and the cuts and the weird, splitting of budgets beforehand and after the hand. And if you're moving money around, how can you plan effectively? It seems like both shows were unfortunately victims of Bezos being like, bring me the next Game of Thrones, and then they were like, all right, let's just buy fantasy IPs and just try to make a show out of it. And I think both shows that I both like a lot were harmed by that decision. And I do hope that Rings of Power fans, like the super fans, the people who love it, like more as much as we love Wheel of Time, I hope that they get a high quality show. And now that Amazon seems to be going all in, because at least one of them should be good. But I do hope that they both did deserve to shine, and they deserve their spot in the limelight and having to fight for it. I always hated that like manufactured, almost like within the same network, quote unquote, this manufactured conflict between the two, because they should have been promoting each other. That was
That's
if
the
it
thing.
had worked out. Having alternating years, having alternating years of one versus the other was actually
that would
pretty
have
smart.
made so much more sense.
I rated that decision. I was like, this is that's kind of a smart, long-term decision, because it will keep me looped in. It'll keep my subscription active on off years. And, it's just unfortunate that's kind of where I land on it, is that all the fans of fantasy in general are the ones suffering from this decision from the start. So it's just tough.
Well, so let's talk about Save What for a second. So some people may be a little confused as to what's going on and why, like, is it even going to be effective? And I think to understand this and maybe explain, like, Save What as a movement, right? Do they really care about the petitions? No. Right? Are they going to like read them? No. Are they going to go through and see who everybody's on it? No. So you might ask the question, well, why the hell would I do this? Okay. But the reality of that is that saving these shows is a matter of public opinion. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you're actually doing. So the more waves you can make, the more publicity you can get. It draws attention for these studio execs to say, oh, there are people actually interested in this and are emotionally attached to the show.
Yeah, I don't
And
think
will
the
give us
petition.
their money.
Yeah, I don't think the petition itself will change things. However, the petition is getting a fuck ton of press. Like, there's a lot of, and people are jumping on, like, other outlets are jumping on it to cover it because it is like one of the things that all the art, like I said, I've been boosting all of them, so I've been reading all the articles. They keep commenting on how organized it is, how like, oh my god, they've already got 50, and then the next day, oh, they've already got a set. Like people are the press is covering the campaign as almost as much as they're covering the cancellation. Like it's getting attention. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where if you would like to get involved in terms of saving this show, as it is currently constructed and how they have created it so far, then like getting involved, and I would follow that Save Watt movement because that is really your best bet, the most organized piece, the most congregated amount of people to make waves from a press standpoint. And it can't hurt right now because they are I guarantee you they are actively working on it right now to try to do something about it. But, you know, I am not going to sit here and say that I'm very confident they're going to get that figured out. I'm not. Because there's a lot. It's not that I don't think the desire exists. I would be shocked if Apple does not desire to pick the show up. I'd be shocked, actually. I think the question is going to be whether or not they can make that happen financially, whether or not the deals can be worked out in the time frames they need to, and whether the suits can get together as quick as they need to. So here's the hopes on that. Now, I want to jump into the potential worst case scenario, right? Let's say they can't do it. What does that mean for the future of the Wheel of Time? And I think...
iWatt's making a video game. I don't believe anything that they say.
Bullshit. And I don't give a shit what iWatt is doing.
Sorry.
They're the reason that this is an issue in the first place.
Yes, they are.
I could see a couple of outcomes to this. Do I think that because Sony will be actually in the same boat that iWatt was. Okay, at a certain point, the rights will revert back to the Bandersnatch Group. Now, the issue here is that I'm not sure what the succession plan for the Bandersnatch Group is because, I mean, I hate to say it, but Harriet is in her mid-80s.
Yeah.
And was not health-wise in the greatest shape before. Age is age, right? At a certain point, Harriet will not be around. So, right, who ultimately then makes those decisions for the IP, you know, in terms of selling rights? But the point is that Sony will have to do something with it or they will lose the rights eventually, right? Yeah. I don't know how long that deal was. I don't know what that looks like. But ultimately, I do not think that this is the last time you will ever see a Wheel of Time in media. Because I think if I were Sony and this fell through, I would lean very heavily into a Wheel of Time anime. Not that I'm a big fan of anime, I'm really not. However, I think it's probably the best medium to actually, if you wanted a book accurate representation, like if you wanted to recreate the books for the most part, then I think an anime is the best way to do that because you will never get a complete book adaptation on the screen, right? The budgets for that would be insane. They're going to have to make cuts. There are 2,700 named characters. They're going to have to do that with an anime, let alone live action.
I would be fine with animated, but I don't care for the animation style. Like, I don't care for the anime style. So I would want it to be something other than anime. But, like, at this point, beggars can't be choosers. So I'll take what I can get. But...
I would take, like, Vox Machina type of animation.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Like, honestly, any kind of animated style, I'd take fucking stop motion over anime style, to be perfectly honest.
Stop motion? Claymation?
Like, yeah. because I don't know. It's anime, and this isn't like to bag on anime or people who like anime, but it's just there's like the style of it seems extremely like overly dramatic and like
It's a
I
bit
don't
of
know.
a hurdle.
There's
Yeah. It's a
yeah,
hurdle for me
there's a
too.
very specific style that I think would make it really hard to take the story seriously in that style.
If they did anime, and the thing is, the problem is what I'm about to say would make it just as expensive as live action. But the animation style of Arcane is beautiful and was stunning.
yeah.
But that was the most expensive animated show of all time. So it like might as well just hire actors like at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
You might as well just actors and CG, baby.
The only other thing I will add, and I say this with the reality of somebody. I mean, I'm about to finish Memory of Light again. Here's the other thing that should be a saving grace. I mean, obviously, we all love and wanted to see an animated show, but we will never, ever, ever not have the books. So, right, like
That's the thing I always wanted to say to the book cloaks. Like, you do realize the books are still there, and if you don't like the show, you don't have to watch it. You could just go read the books again. They're still there. Yeah.
And I don't mean that as a hey that makes it all better, because it certainly doesn't. But like I look at this a lot of times anymore. We talk about WatCon, right? And JordanCon just happened a month ago, and MalkyriCon will happen later this year. And whatever other get-togethers or online communities, or for me anymore, right? I go to these things not because I need to talk about the show. In fact, I don't talk about the show very much, right? When I go to these things, it's a lot of times it's the community that's built around it, and who we have. What was that? It sounded like crumpling paper or something.
It sounded like rapping. It wasn't me.
But the I think that the communities that you build, like, think about this. JordanCon had its largest growth after the books were completed and before the show was even announced. So, like, the reality of that is that getting involved in these communities is the way that you continue this on. And the next fandom or the next event that will happen around these books will come up if the show isn't around, right? It'll come at some point. And we can still have community around that, and I think that's the beauty of it. So I'm trying to add some rose-colored glasses to a shitty situation, but it is a reality that we will still have community. There will still be people talking about these books and this story going forward. So,
and just because the show is canceled, and if it never ends up anywhere else in its current form, the story is still there. The characters are still there. All of the things that we loved about the show as it exists are all still there. It doesn't mean we have to stop talking about it. I'm going to do a rewatch. Yeah. Nil says, well, except Nabes. He's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Single best thing. Nil says the single best thing I got from the show is the community, except for Nabes, because he's a dick. And I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Including the Nabes part. Fuck you.
No lies detected.
No lies detected. Nabes is a dick. But he's our dick.
I pee out of him every day.
I was just saying, I don't have a dick. What are you talking about?
He's our metaphorical penis.
He creates a river of ejaculate for us every day.
Oh, no!
River of ejaculate.
Like Pompeii. Except,
Now I know what those sad villagers of Pompeii felt like. Except where they were rained down on hot lava. I rained down on those villagers with frothy ejaculate.
And since this is a nerd podcast, I would just like to point out that Pompeii didn't have lava. There was no lava. It was like a hailstorm of fucking pumice stone and then pyroclastic flow. That has nothing
Did you
to do
say
with lava.
pumice stone?
Pumice stone?
Pumice. I said pumice stone, you sicko.
Did you say
pumice
stone?
Pumice stone is funny, though.
SEMA plastic flow.
I was trying to find some kind of weird pun in there. Semen classic
Oh.
foam, yeah.
Oh,
Semen
God.
plastic flow. Hmm.
Yeah.
But the point that I was making, the point that I was making is that all of the things that we love about this, it's still there.
Mm.
And I'm not going to stop talking about the show. I'm going to do a rewatch. I'm trying to think of like different videos that I could do with it. But yeah, it's also there. We're not going anywhere.
No.
So
No, we are not.
suck on that, Amazon. Fucking
Yeah, Amazon.
weed assholes.
I hope that I hope whoever's at Amazon remembers to burn the Kevin dossier that they have to tell people who I am ahead of time, just to look out for me, because that dossier, it should be disposed of. I hope get a fresh start with that.
Belongs in a
I was gonna
museum.
say, if we get picked up, fingers crossed, Hail Marys, blah blah blah, by another network, having to educate another publicity person about the nipples is just gonna be.
Because there's a dossier. There is something on it that says, all right, here's all the people in the fandom that you should know about, and at this
And then
point.
colic nipples guy.
Yeah,
There's something very wrong with all of us.
Yep.
Well,
I love
In the
this.
best possible way.
so that is our show. Jess, you want to get it? Oh, no, we have obsessions. We haven't done that in a long time. Obsession.
That was aggressive. I don't know how I feel about that.
Obsessions.
All right.
Wait, I got a way to do this. Here we go. Obsessions. All right.
Wow. Okay. I'd say Nameless goes first because
The screaming.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The screaming made it.
I don't have any.
you have no
Really?
obsessions.
Nothing?
Wow.
I'm obsessed with getting ready for WalkCon right now. That's about all I have time
Yeah, that's
for.
probably
so.
it. Yeah.
Hmm.
I have a couple of obsessions. Can I take yours, Nabes?
Sure.
And do two? Okay. My first obsession I'm going to talk about is the one I watched right when I found out the show was canceled and I was in a bad mood. And then Bree told me to watch Horny Boat Doctor Show. Have y'all watched Horny Boat Doctor Show?
What is that?
It's called Dr. Odyssey. It is network television, and it's so fucking comforting because it feels like shows from like the 80s and the 90s, except with modern attitudes about sexuality. It's just on a cruise ship. Namelessness. I kept thinking about you while watching this show. There's like the crew on a cruise ship, including the doctor, and they just all fuck each other and fuck the guests, and occasionally orcas attack the ship. There's a tidal wave. It is bonkers.
That
it was the
sounds
most
amazing.
Yes, it is the most comforting thing. It was just like it was a horny hug, like a horny, comforting hug when I was sad about the show being the show being canceled.
That's another possible title.
Yes,
Hmm.
and then my second obsession. I'm going to plug another podcast on this here podcast. I have a new podcast, and it's finally coming out.
Yay!
Ages. It's called Babylon. And me, it's Gus and Allie from Wheel Takes and Jen from Three Wheeling, Jen Sedai, and we are watching Babylon 5 and going through it episode by episode. Babylon 5 is a really fun show from the 90s. It was one of the very first shows in television to do a long story arc, and he had it planned from the beginning. So it's a 5-year story that is told over 5 seasons, and we're going to be going through it.
And I think that it's important to point out that it is spelt Babel, B-A-B-B-L-E, on.
Yes.
Just so that if you go looking for it and you can't find it, make sure you spell it right, dummy.
Yes, it's babble on because we do tend to babble. But we babble on about Babylon.
You see.
It's a pun. Like my YouTube channel name, which nobody got for the longest time. It's like, until I made the theme song. Yes, the amount of people in the comments of my theme song, like at the first video where I put the theme song of Let's Be Nerdy with Lesbian Nerdy, they were like, oh! It's like, oh my God.
Wow.
Your viewers are fucking stupid. What the
I
hell?
was going to say, they're fucking stupid because the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, I see what she did there.
one of my Korean friends, that was the first thing. She's like, it sounds like let's be nerdy. And I was like, yes, you got the pun.
yeah.
Why did
Nice
native English speakers not get this pun?
Yeah, like
Oh my
literally
God.
English as a second language or third language or whatever. She got it. Dumb
Yes.
books.
Wait. I'm joking.
I have two things that I am obsessed with. Firstly, Baldur's Gate 3.
Mm-hmm. As rightly so. It's such a good game, right?
It's a really good game. I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
And there's so
really
much
very
fucking in it.
good.
There's so
There's
much
a
fucking in it.
lot of fuck. My goal this playthrough is to fuck everyone, even Asterion, and I feel like I may have already missed that boat because I'm too much very like a good person in
Yeah, he gets real pissed,
video
yeah.
game. I don't like making choices that hurt other people. And I feel like that is like the death knell for boning down with Asterion. But
anytime Cruz would show up in the corner, I'd be like, "Oh, what did I do? Why does he like what I just did?
Why does he like that?
I got to go back and do that again. That was bad."
Oh, reload. Last save. Halsin, this just massive elf druid. He's one of the companions
looks like
that
Ruar.
you can get. He looks like Bjorn Landberg, and I'm like, yeah, we're definitely gonna bone down with that guy for sure. So that was fun. Enjoying that. Also, a little bit obsessed with my psychiatrist and a little cocktail called California Rocket Fuel, which is a combination of two mental health drugs that has been helping me a lot. I've been prefacing this by saying that I make a point of talking really openly about mental health and my own struggles with mental health because I think it's very important to talk about those things openly if you feel like you can. Not everybody feels like they can. Not everybody feels comfortable doing that. I do, and so I try to be really open about it. I have been struggling really, really, really hard. Probably the last, if I'm honest, 2 years, but the last several months have been especially bad. And I'm making like huge med changes. Really scary because I have been like on my foundational mental health med for 15 years. And so I'm making changes and a lot of things have been really hard, but I think things will get better and I'm excited about that.
Yay.
Not crying, you're crying.
I'm obsessed with thinking about those poor people of Pompeii. Except I don't have one either Jess did too, so I've got none. But
Okay.
instead of lava falling down on me, I was showering them with the frothy ejaculate.
Why is it frothy? Look, I'm not an expert, but I feel like that's bad.
I frothed it up, but I had like those little
We
mixers.
put it in the mixer thing and frothed it up.
Yeah.
Makes it go down a little easier.
Or if you swish it in your mouth
I
for a
don't
little
think
bit, that
that's
froths it up
true.
too.
I would imagine that. Okay, that would froth it up. I said that.
Nels is like Soda Stream. Nils, I fucking love you, dude. Oh my god.
Can you have carbonated ejaculate?
I mean, I think that you can
Don't
carbonate
learn.
anything if you work hard and believe
You
in
know what? I have a soda stream. I will bring it to WatCon and we will. Never mind.
What are we gonna carbonate?
I have
someone's
nipples.
jizz?
I have nipples, Greg. Can you carbonate me?
We will take collections on.
Oh my god.
Oh Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ!
Okay, sorry. You know
Christ.
there was like a sperm race, right? Y'all know about the sperm race that happened in Vegas?
Oh, the cookie?
No, like there was
What?
literally
What, like actual,
yes, they had
like
sperm.
microscopic?
Two gentlemen submitted samples, and then they raced their sperm. You don't know about the sperm race? How am I the only
I
one who
haven't
knows about
heard
the sperm
the
race?
sperm race. Who won?
I don't
And is it
remember.
like one sperm each, or is it like the aggregate of all of them, or whoever got the most? Like, how did I need to know logistics. Maybe not actually on the show, maybe.
I did not follow it that closely. So
Okay.
I have questions.
On that note, this show is over.
you know what? You want to go into the sperm race? All right, never mind.
Mr. Frothy Ejaculate is suddenly
I am.
for a fucking sperm race.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh, Christ, on sale at Target. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Tarvalon After Dark. We are back and more unhinged than ever, and you are welcome. We hope that you had a good time. We're sure that you did, because we did. And if you didn't, well, we don't care, because we do this for us, not for you. Fuck off. As always, new episodes drop every week on TVAD Tuesday, except for when they don't. It's always TVAD Tuesday in our hearts, is my point. If you want to follow the show on Twitter and Blue Sky at Tarvalon Dark, you can do that. You're probably better off just following Kevin, because did I give you the password? I think I gave you the password.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I'm logged in.
And if you want to support the podcast, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Tarvalon After Dark. Do remember that if you join our Patreon, you do get to watch us record this, either live or after the fact, whichever floats your scrot. And you get to see all of the weird shit that we do. Yes, I said scrot. Just making sure, because the look on Nabe's face, you should subscribe to Patreon just to see the look that he had on his face after I said floats your scrot. Anyway, patreon.com/Tarvalon After Dark. Do it. You can also rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Audible. You can also apparently rate us on Spotify, but reviews apparently aren't a thing there. Any of it helps. So, do that. You can also go to queerencia.co/TVAD and use promo code TVAD to get 10% off on all of the adorable queer merch that you could possibly want for the summer. What?
Pride Month.
Pride. Oh, yeah, it's Pride. It's June 1st. It's Pride. Happy Pride.
Yay!
Happy Pride, you gay nerds. Yay.
Be gay,
Happy Pride.
do crimes.
Be gay, do crime. And remember, Shut the Fuck Up Friday is every day. Also every day in our hearts is Shut the Fuck Up Friday. Corinthia.co/TVAD. Use promo code TVAD. 10% off queer stuff for when you go do your queer crimes. And, thanks for joining us here at the Thirsty Tinker. And until next time, keep it wheel unless it's canceled.